It's a
You want me
great
to start?
pleasure. It's a great pleasure to have you with us here today, Dan. It's really interesting. And let's listen to you. Introduce yourself and speak about your business. What do you do?
What do? I'm a music producer and a percussionist based in Johannesburg, South Africa. I was born in Italy, actually. Uh, um, I was 6 years old when my parents immigrated to South Africa from my mother's side, and my grandmother. They were great musicians. My grandmother was a rehearsal pianist at La Scala in Milan, and my mother grew up with a lot of music, mostly Brazilian and Cuban music. When we came to emigrate to South Africa, we were actually due to go to Brazil because my dad was a farmer, and the Brazilians and the Mato Grosso at that time were looking for farmers, and they invited my uncle, my father's brother, and my dad to go to Brazil. But in those days, this was 1962. Our family got to Trieste too late to catch the ship to Brazil, so we ended up on the quayside with nothing, all our belongings. We had nowhere to go, and my dad then heard that South Africa was looking for farmers, and he didn't know where South Africa was, but we had already sold up everything, so we had no option. We ended up in South Africa, going to South Africa. And for me, as an artist, as a musician, it was fantastic because I found a new world of African music that I immersed myself in very gladly and very passionately. So from my perspective, it was a godsend to move out of Europe in that context. I've played with many people. For those of you who are interested to look at my website, it's www.danchiorboli.com. I don't want to go into all the various individual elements, but I've played on close to 230 albums from very diverse musical artists. And I also founded the Awesome Africa Music Fest, which started in 1999, and we were very happy to feature a group from Egypt called Resala.
Oh yeah.
They were great. They were really great. Unfortunately, I'm not in touch with them because with this particular project that I'm working with now, the Solidarity Express, we would love to do a collaboration with Egyptian musicians who hold the sentiments of harmony and unity and goodwill amongst nations and artists very closely. And so if you know of any Egyptian artists who would love to collaborate on this, read more on www.solidarityexpress.co.za.
Okay, that's very interesting.
And here I am. I had a choice of choosing to play professional football when I was a teenager, but I had discovered music by then, music and girls in that order, and I'm really glad that I chose that instead of being football, because otherwise my career had been finished by now. And at this point in time, we're incredibly lucky as artists because your career never ends. You know, you carry on until you die, and hopefully I have a few years still to be able to offer.
Yeah, hopefully more than 100 more years. Okay, let's go to our first question. Why do we believe we can live in harmony?
You know, it's very much an idealistic notion, and I go back to the early and mid 60s where there was such a social and passionate upbringing against materialism and fundamentalism, that kind of stuff. And frankly, if you look at where our world finds ourselves right now, we most certainly need a dose of harmony and unity and goodwill. And artists throughout the years have shown that they need to be at the forefront of this, and we need to leave the political angle and the political sphere out of this. As artists, stand up and be counted. And if we can, in our own very small way, create an element of social harmony, that's our job done.
Okay, very interesting. The second question, what is xenophobia? How does it affect people?
Xenophobia is a really sad form of interaction here. And ultimately, you know, I have very close friends who are refugees based in South Africa from Malawi, Burundi, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Eritrea, even Kenya, Burkina Faso. And it's really sad to see what they go through. And behind it all is fear. The fear that they are taking people's jobs, that they are disseminating seeds of discontent within the local community. And it's really sad to see that when I, a couple of days ago, in fact, I had to reach out to some people in Soweto, which is our biggest township outside of Johannesburg, because there were shops that were owned by Somalians that were burnt down in the middle of lockdown. These shops were burnt down and looted, and only the Somalian shops were looted, and not the shops that were owned by local. And that's really sad. You know, again, it's an element of not knowing what you're up against. And a lot of these refugees, really wonderful people that contribute to the economy of the country. Sure, you've got bad eggs like you do after all the time in other aspects as well. But by and large, it's bred by fear.
Okay. So the next question, how do you intend to reconcile the world?
It's a really good question, and I think it's something that I'm not qualified to answer. You know, at the end of the day, I'm an artist. I can only so much from my side. I like to feel that what I'm doing is important in the greater sphere when it comes to an entertainment angle. But I think that, unfortunately, is in the hands of our politicians, in the hands of the African Union. And as I said, that's a debate that you could have for a very long time to try and understand whether our population in Africa or not.
Okay. Does the world need healing?
Absolutely, totally, more than ever right now, completely. And the arts is the place to be fed from. And the sad aspect here from the arts is it's the social science which is funded the absolute least. You know, if I look at it across the continent, well, there are pockets of countries, music in Africa, who do amazing work, but by and large, the arts are not funded as they should be.
Okay. Why does color matter?
Yeah. Well, it comes down to the fact that we're all different, and thank God we're all different, because we all bring different cultures, different aspects of cuisine, of religion, right across the board, you know, and we've got to see ourselves as equal. And I subscribe myself to the ethos of WOMAD and Real World, who I work with very closely. You know, the human rights element that looks far beyond color. I was very involved in the struggle against apartheid in South Africa, and I've seen at close quarters what it's like to be indoctrinated. You know, going back to the early forms of Nazism. You know, again, it comes down to the fear factor, and at the end of the day, color adds. How can I put it? The different aspects of color add to our wide tapestry of evolution on the planet. And it shouldn't matter. We should accept ourselves for what we are and what we could give the earth.
Okay. How can people work their way through in a xenophobic community?
With goodwill and Ubuntu and acceptance of the other's beliefs. Be big enough to hold each other's spirits dear. That's the most important first.
Okay. Okay, the next question. Some people may embrace these extraneous ideas about themselves and feel disempowered. What do you say to them?
It's a lot of bullshit. You've got to overcome that. And I can't say that in any stronger way. Fundamentalism in my mind is wrong. It comes bred from ideologies that are distorted and warped. And you've got to look at the good factor. You've got to look at the good in people, and not trying to disseminate hate.
Okay. What is a person's worth, in your opinion?
Sorry, I didn't get that. No?
What is a person's value, a person's worth, in your opinion?
Everybody has value in this planet, and everybody needs to be considered as having equal value and equal right in the world.
Okay. Okay. How long and what kind of endeavor does it take to set these ideas right?
Wow, that's a hell of a question. What a forum. Jeez. Again, the goodness of your heart. Finding the goodness in people, finding the goodness in your heart. To be able to relate to people with the respect that everyone deserves. And that's why as musicians, there are no boundaries. We treat each other as equals. We expect each other to contribute in the way that we do fit, that we see fit, with an element of grace and humanity.
Okay. Next question. Do you think African people should have done and should do more to claim their position in the world?
Absolutely, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, there's so much heritage and culture throughout Africa that we can give the world. Without a doubt, we should be. Yeah.
Okay. How popular is African music worldwide? Like, can people from different countries relate to African music?
I think part of the problems is the language, and that if you're looking at English being a common language, if you look at the number of languages throughout Africa, it's really hard to be able to understand the lyrics from Africa, and that's your basic communication angle besides the music. From an individual personal perspective, my feeling is that the music of Africa is not given enough respect throughout the world. There's incredible music of real depth throughout Africa. If you look at going back all the way through Ethiopia and the music, the tonalities that are used from there, from the civilizations. And a little bugbear from my perspective is that we've got too much on the American side, that even the Nigerians are gravitating towards an American brand of hip hop, of R&B, which loses its distinct African flavor. And so you've got to balance that between commercialism and more truthful music that comes from the heart.
Okay.
My feeling is that as Africans, we should be sending a much stronger message about human rights, about accepting South Africans and Africans at large into the world, the greater world of music.
Okay. Can Africa lead the world one day?
I think you should ask the politicians that question. If we can get rid of the inherent politics throughout Africa, that's our stumbling block right through Africa. I can't think of one African country off the top of my head that doesn't have an element of corruption or anything like that. But I think it's a good question for the politicians.
Okay. Okay. You have a famous song. Can you introduce the song? Why did you write it? And then we will listen to some part of it.
Um, yeah, we felt, you know, the last project that I was involved with was called the Liberation Project, which blended the music of South Africa, the struggle songs of South Africa, the Cuban Revolution, and the Italian partisan resistance. And we decided to move ahead because we felt that we needed something uplifting, harmonious. So we created um, the Solidarity Express. Again, you know, I'd love to explain more about it to you over here, but I think you'll get more information from the website, www.solidarityexpress.co.za. But basically, what we're trying to do, excuse me, is to create a feeling of joy and goodwill, and something that we can feel proud of. So going forward, after this song, each song that will be featured on the forthcoming album will be a collaboration with a featured artist from around the world who shares the same sentiments and values as the Solidarity Express. And essentially, the Solidarity Express is a group of musicians collaborating to deliver a message of hope and unity with the world at large. So it's a very, very broad topic. It's multi-genre. There's very many different music styles, but the environment from which to project the music from is the same. And the first song that we've dropped was a song that is called, I believe, We Can Live in Harmony. And it's sung in a number of languages, Zulu, Tswana, Yoruba, Italian even. So I'm not going to sing the whole thing. Give you a part of the intro, which is a very gospel-driven intro. It's like sitting in church. So I'm going to try and sing this a cappella. You cannot choose the color of your skin. You cannot choose the country you were born in. You cannot choose your economic situation. You cannot choose your generation. I don't care if you were born in the rural villages. I don't care about your education. Oh, you cannot choose your sex. You cannot choose whether you're good looking. You certainly cannot choose all these things, yet you are judged by them every day. Sorry, I don't have any water or whiskey here. My apologies. I hope that was okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was so okay. It has been a great pleasure talking to you, Dan, today. Really, you people are an inspiration to all of Africa and all the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And again, if you have any Egyptian musicians that you feel that you'd like to put us in touch with, please do. I'd love to work with somebody from Egypt.
Sure.